Hi everyone, this is Paul here from the Magdalene Centre. Today I'm doing the report on the lunar eclipse in Leo on the 31st of January at 1:26 PM Universal Time, outlining the key themes that this lunar eclipse is highlighting to us and what it will mean going forward from here. So whenever we have eclipses, and this is a period of about normally 2 weeks, but if there's more than 2 eclipses then it extends through an entire month. But this is a period in January and into February that we're looking at what has outlived its purpose in our lives and what do we need to let go of. So it's a time of stepping back and reflecting on our lives, observing what do we need to let go of, or what is coming to its natural conclusion, and from there, what do we then want to create in its place. So with the lunar eclipse in Leo, this is a north node lunar eclipse, i.e. the moon is on the north node in Leo as opposed to the south node in Aquarius. So some of the key lessons this is about is our ability to love ourselves, the ability to accept love from other people. It's building self-esteem through loving ourselves and embracing our creative spark, and then sharing this with the world around us. But we also need to look at the sun in Aquarius as well. So during this time we're also looking at where are we too aloof, or where do we resist our emotions or become detached from a situation in a cold way rather than engaging in it. So part of this is going to be looking at our tendency towards aloofness, or a tendency to go with the flow of the crowd as opposed to divine flow. They're two completely different things. And where do we wait for more information to come before we take action, and where do we have fear of emotions and fear of the more messy side of things? Because with the South Node being in Aquarius, this is a time where we need to overcome the tendency to just be happy with having a vision or understand the big picture. It's not enough to have your third eye open, or however you want to phrase it, and have a vision of how things are. If we don't take any action, that's never going to move beyond the vision. It's just an idea in your head and nothing will take place. So with the North Node in Leo, and obviously there's lunar eclipse with the moon conjunct in the North Node, this is saying it's come out of the collective unconscious and shine that divine individual spark within you. Become the best version of who you are. Embrace play, embrace that childlike nature within you, and get creative. It's building confidence through taking action on our desires, and it's coming from the head and into the heart. So it's becoming emotionally warm and radiating that emotional warmth to others, rather than becoming cool, detached and aloof. Because if we want things to happen in our lives, we have to take action, and we also have to honour our own creativity. We're all creative beings in one way or another, whether we're aware of it or not, and we all have the potential to create things. But for whatever reason, many of us lose sight of this, or we forget that we have this creative spark, because we're conditioned to believe that creativity has a very narrow definition. That creativity is just the ability to draw something, or the ability to make music, and not all of us can do that. But creativity comes in many different forms. It could be to do with what we write, it could be our ideas, it can be just playing and learning to just be like an actor. We're just playing roles in life. The roles aren't who we are. We just wear a mask for play, and then we take it off again. So with Leo, it's building confidence through taking action and pursuing our own desires. It's the development of the ego, because the ego is necessary for us to take any action. We do need the ego, so destroying it isn't actually helpful. We just need to put it in the right relationship to who we really are, so that the ego serves us and gives us that ability to interact with our environment. But the ego isn't in control, it's there to take actions from the higher guidance. Because Aquarius is the higher mind, but if we don't have Leo taking the action, then no new vision will ever manifest on Earth. So we have to be the creative agents. We have to embrace our creative potentials, embrace imagination rather than just obsessing over knowledge which is based in the past, because it's through imagination that new things come into being. Knowledge is only, we can only get as much knowledge as what's already been discovered, i.e. it's based in the past. To move into the future, we have to engage our creativity, we have to engage imagination and play with ideas, because some of them may actually be very close to the truth and are worth pursuing and trying to create something with it. Obviously others are just pure illusion and they're not going to help anyone. But if we don't become creative, if we don't embrace our creativity, we don't embrace our creative potential and start playing with ideas rather than just dismissing them or thinking that we're not smart enough to come up with ideas, then a lot of the problems that we're seeing around us aren't going to get solved, because it's been said before, a problem cannot be solved at the same level of consciousness that created it in the first place. We have to move to the next level, and this involves or requires imagination. It requires the ability to look at situations with new eyes rather than sticking to old, well-established thought patterns which don't actually serve us. Because Aquarius is helpful in the sense of it's a dedication to truth, of tapping into the visions of the higher mind, but it requires us to have imagination to begin with. If we don't embrace our imagination and get creative with ideas, then we're not going to see or identify any way that things can be changed for the better. So during the eclipse, we need to look at letting go of any tendencies where we tend to become detached, or we separate emotionally, or become cold and aloof, and instead engage in things, be curious, be playful with it. I tap into that child within that's always curious and always looking to create something and isn't worried about how other people see it. So it's a time for really coming to the heart and understanding or expressing our emotions to one another, of being, because the thing is, the health of the whole is dependent on the health of the individual parts. And the North Node in Leo is saying, become the best version of yourself you can be, embrace and express the divine spark of individuality within each and every one of us, and become the best versions we can be. Be creative, be playful, embrace joy, embrace creativity, and then share it. We all have these creative potentials within us, but all too often we've forgotten to we've forgotten how to play. We're so used to criticism or being said that's not good enough, or you're not meeting these standards, so obviously you're no good. Standards are set by other people for certain objectives. We're not here to meet other people's expectations or meet other people's standards of what creativity should or shouldn't look like. We all have our own different potentials, and we all need to explore them and work on it to make it the best we can ever be. So if we don't nurture our own individual spark, and we don't tap into those creative energies and share them and show them to other people so that they can understand it, then we're just going to remain cold and aloof. If we see other people embracing the process and we're not, then we may feel resentment or jealousy around it. But at the end of the day, if that person's had the courage to embrace that creative spark, that should be celebrated, not denigrated. So this is time for working on ourselves, of observing where do we become too detached, or where do we not share our own ideas or share our own creative input for fear of being judged, and instead embrace the attitude of play. Because it's been shown that when people engage in play without worrying about meeting a certain objective or anything like that, then it boosts the analytical abilities of the mind. The act of play is like creative problem solving, except you're not trying to go towards a specific goal. You're just engaging in the ability to solve things in a creative way rather than relying on set routines. So if we all embrace that creative potential within us, if we all learn to play again, to share those warm emotions with one another, and to encourage each other to share the same creative input, then things will move forward in a much more empowered way. And if we all become the best versions of ourselves, that by default sends an energy outwards which lifts the collective up. But if we don't work on ourselves, nothing's going to change collectively. So for each and every one of us, we need to become the best versions of ourselves. And this is also looking at our relationship with love, and are we able to love ourselves, and by default can we accept love of other people? Because quite a lot of problems stem from where we've got into the mindset that we're unlovable or we're not worthy of love. So no matter how much love another person gives you freely and unconditionally, we struggle to accept it, and we push it away, and we carry on dysfunctional behaviours. So this is also time for going inward and asking ourselves, are we able to receive love of other people? Do we see ourselves as worthy of love and belonging? And do we then receive love of other people and give it back to them? So the ability to give and receive love is also going to be a key theme during this eclipse window, and will dominate the first half of February until obviously the solar eclipse in Aquarius on the 15th. But the relationship with love, the relationship with creativity that we have, our ability to express joy rather than letting fear dominate our lives, and just becoming creative and playful and encouraging each other to do the same, so that we lighten up and we stop seeing everything through grey lens, and we start seeing life as colourful again. This is something that we all need to work on in one degree or another, because if we understand what our creative potentials are, what we're able to create, then we can do something that we really enjoy in our lives and share it with others who value our input, who see our value, and then just create it and share it for mutual enjoyment. Now, in terms of other aspects taking place, we have Venus conjunct the South Node, so this is a time where we may need to observe how we are within our relationships and look at, because Aquarius is about freedom. Now ideally Venus in Aquarius is about nurturing each other and encouraging each other to express each other's individual potential and respect the freedom of each other, but in a mutually empowering way. So it's not one person's respecting the other but then not receiving it. It is about mutuality, but we need to look at where do we have an exaggerated need for independence out of fear of connection, fear of intimacy, and where do we receive validation from others but we don't reciprocate it? Because for relationships to be balanced and truly harmonious, these things need to work together. So with Venus being loosely conjunct the Sun at this point, this is also about understanding that everything is interconnected, that everything is interdependent, and realising the truth of the statement that no man is an island. We're all interdependent. Everything that we do affects other people in one way or another, and we need to understand this and maintain our own individual sense of self. It's important that we never lose sight of who we are in relationships, but it's also important that whoever we're with, we honour that person as well. We honour their own higher expression and their own unique individuality. But it's important that this is mutual, so both parties respect each other and we support each other's individual self-expression and basically encourage each other to march to their own drum rather than trying to fit in, conform to others. So this is another theme for the eclipse, will be about breaking through a tendency to feel an exaggerated need for independence and not appreciating the uniqueness of the people around us, because each one of us is unique, and in that respect we're all the same. So it's respecting each other's unique expression, and obviously expecting that we be given the same treatment, It's not about validating one person to the exclusion of another. It's learning that sense of inclusiveness and building a community out of people who are all being the best versions of themselves, and then coming together through desire for unity, but not unity through conformity. It's unity with diversity, where each one of us is being true to who we are, and because we're being true to who we are, people can love us for who we are rather than who they think we are based on the masks we wear. So this eclipse is very much going to highlight things like creativity, and especially fears around that, but also relationships in terms of the individual to society as a whole and the individual to the group, and learning to nurture the individual strengths of each person within a group so they become the best version of themselves, because this then boosts the function of the group so that it can perform better. Because the more energy and the better each person is in terms of being who they are and expressing their true strengths and understanding who they are, the more they can develop their own capacities and come together to create a much more dynamic and effective group ethic. And understanding that the more we elevate each other and uplift one another when feeling down, so that each person can bring their own understanding of the truth, bring their own wisdom forth, then through this kind of conscious conversation we can achieve a much better understanding of the nature of reality. We can bring together a higher vision rather than clashing over each person's personal vision, and understanding how by uniting together and bring these ideas together into a collective whole that's interrelated, we can create something together as a community that will benefit everyone, but also nurture the individuals as well. So with the last thing to mention is Ceres in Leo is close conjunction with the North Node and the Moon. So she's retrograde at the moment. There's another video specifically about that, and it's already on our YouTube channel. But basically this is also about taking that inward journey to understand our own creativity and nurture it. It's learning to, if we don't nurture ourselves, how can we truly nurture another? So nurturing that individual spark is a key theme for this eclipse, and this will carry over for the next 2 weeks as we do ideally observe where things need to be let go of, like old fears of connection, old tendencies of relying on being part of a group to avoid individual responsibility, and overcome the need to feel like you have to conform in order to be accepted, and instead embrace your own unique self-expression and share that with people who are prepared to respect that and honour that, and then work together to become the best versions and set a new precedent for human relationships, and working together for a collective goal rather than just being a bunch of individuals who aren't interested in helping each other out or making anyone else better than who they are. It's learning that we're all interrelated, but we all have to work on ourselves in order to boost the health of the collective, so that we can truly achieve goals worthwhile that will boost humanity and help push its growth forwards, rather than keeping it stuck and stagnant or dragging it into the shadows. So I hope it's a useful guide for the lunar eclipse. May it bring you a lot of lessons and may it bring you many blessings. Take care.